We serve a God that's not of confusion. So Dios no trae confusión, hermanos. Trae ¿qué? Claridad. No, we serve a God that doesn't bring confusion. He brings clarity. But he tells us something here. He says, look, you're going to get lost, but you got to remember these things. You got to remember that I formed you. Two things he doesn't want you to forget, that the enemy wants to make you forget, and some of us have already forgotten this. And this is why anxieties come up. This is why problems come up. For ye have not received the spirit of bondage, again to fear, but ye have received the Spirit. This is a spirit that you need to receive. Because there's another spirit that you can have of feeling like you're a slave in sin, feeling like you're bound to something. I've never heard of the spirit and the soul being different. I thought they were the same. And I said, interesting that you say that. Look at it. Look what's, the spirit's from God. The soul is what we're going to be accounted for. The soul is what's going to be tormented. The body is a worm that will stay here. In verse 3, we see the serpent comes in. And what does he do? He tempts. So we read here, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath God said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And we know what happens, right? The rest is history. And Adam called his wife's name Eve because she was the mother of all living. The enemy came to somebody that didn't have an identity. That's why it's so important for us to recognize who we are. Because the moment you don't know who you are, the enemy's got you in his hands. We have an enemy that wants to blind you, the non-believer. And why? Lest the light of the glorious gospel of Christ, who is the image of God, should shine on them. It's beautiful when we want God to speak to us. You're reading the word and you're intently saying, okay, God, I'm feeling like this. I feel lost. I feel hopeless. I feel no value. Get off of your feelings, first of all, but second of all, understand it's because you've lost sight on your Creator. You've lost sight on your image. You've lost your identity. It doesn't matter how I feel. It matters that you love me and you gave me your image. And I thank you, God, because you know what? The enemy has come and he's robbed it a couple of times. He's blinded me a couple of times, but now I want to see you clearly. So gain it back and say, God, now that I see you, now that I understand, God, that I am yours, I want to be used by you. When we understand that he is God, it doesn't matter. See, that's what he says. He says, recognize that he is God. Why? Because sometimes life has made you forget it. I know one thing, Christ is coming. And don't think it's going to be in a few years. Because it happens as soon as this stops beating. He comes.